Welcome to a live webinar hosted by Gavel & Gown Software, makers of Amicus Attorney Practice Management Solutions. Our guest speaker today is Colleen Heine. Colleen is an Amicus Certified Consultant with Accellis Technology Group. Located in Cleveland, Ohio, Accellis works with law offices of all sizes to provide solutions both locally and remotely. In today's webinar, Colleen will take a look at desktop and cloud-based practice management solutions. Welcome, Colleen.
Hi, good afternoon. I want to begin by saying thank you for having me, Jody, and everyone else at Gavel & Gown. To begin, I wanted to go over just really briefly what Accellis Technology Group is. We are actually an IT provider. We create solutions for our clients both locally and remotely, and we work closely with Gavel & Gown, the developers from Amicus Attorney, to design software packages for our clients. Accellis has multiple Amicus Attorney certified consultants on staff to provide in-house training, consulting experience, and technical support. Gavel & Gown is celebrating their 20th anniversary this year, and as the creators of Amicus Attorney, their sole focus is on practice management software. So for those new to the Amicus suite of products, they're known for their intuitive style used by tens of thousands of firms daily. Today I'm going to discuss the difference between cloud and server-based practice management systems using Amicus Attorney as our demonstrative piece, since they're a true market leader offering both platforms. Later, we'll present important considerations when evaluating your software options and review tips for successful practice management installation. Let's begin by going over what practice management software can do for you. Practice management systems are a central location for firm members to manage each piece of your office. So your phone calls, emails, documents, billable time, virtually every piece of information in your practice. Unlike the traditional paper file, I'm not just looking at case-specific details, but relating each piece to both the matter and the client. Imagine walking over to a paper filing cabinet, trying to find phone calls, records with opposing counsel on some case from about 3 years ago. This would be a painstaking process that, with practice management system, is much more easily done. Keeping your client that primary focus of your day-to-day operations, you're going to see greater referrals and a larger amount of returning clients. The decision on which platform is going to be right for your firm is an important one. It's based on a series of different factors. Much like buying a car, you have an investment decision that's going to impact you every day. If we think of our must-have features when going to a dealership, we should approach software purchases the same way. For some, it may be based on performance, like a V6 engine, or for some others, it might be a fun feature like a sunroof or sound system that's going to sway their choice. Just like there's no one-size-fits-all vehicle on the market, practice management systems really do vary. What you need to begin with is coming up with your firm profile for both needs and wants, along with why are you going to implement this system now. Picturing the basketball player Shaq in a smart car makes about as much sense as giving a 100-person firm a product designed for a solo attorney. We want to make sure your platform selection matches your firm's profile. Let's next do an overview of the difference between the cloud and a server-based product. In keeping with our car purchase example, it might be easier to think of cloud services like leasing a car. You're going to pay a predetermined amount of money, typically each month, to have access. You'll then open that data over the internet. This gives your office a greater freedom to work off devices they like, and often from anywhere. If we think of our server or desktop-based products, just like buying a new car, we're going to put that larger amount of investment down right away. In this example, retaining that server or licensing for the software is that one-time exchange. This is the traditional model most legal software products use. So if you have PC Law, for example, that data lives on your server, and each firm member connects to the database from their workstation to access it. Next, I'm actually going to close out of my slideshow to give you a feel for our cloud example. Today, we're going to be looking at Amicus Cloud. So you can see here I've already logged into my home office. This is my welcome screen that gives me a nice overview of what's going on in my day. So if I have any new records, upcoming appointments, or even areas that just need my attention, Amicus Cloud alerts me of that right away. So the first portion I want to discuss today is our email component. I'm just going to click over on my email tab. Amicus Cloud integrates with Microsoft Exchange, meaning there's no syncing or linking, there's no delays. If a new email is sent to me in real time, it will appear in this email tab. along with popping up on my smartphone or my desktop Outlook. They're always going to match. Keep in mind my contacts and calendar are going to be hooked and exchanged the same way. So if someone adds a new appointment for me or I find a new contact on my smartphone, they're always going to match in Amicus Cloud. What I really love about this view is the ability to preview emails or check if I've had time records onto a file. I can quickly see which of my emails have been read and which ones are already linked to files. So it really gives me that all-in-one solution, great for my email tab. From here, I have the ability to preview incoming messages. I could also forward or respond to emails just by opening them. I can also go directly to my case right from here or from my files list. So this is really similar to your traditional filing cabinet. If I just click on my 1, 2, 3 foreclosure matter, I'm taken directly to my file summary. Right from the files, I can go to my email section. I can see all of the past historical emails that I might have related to a case. Coworkers can then review or reply to email correspondence as well. Moving over to my time and expenses, I can see anything that's been added to this file, including coworkers' time or expenses, the total value of the file thus far. So I'm going to go ahead and add a brand new time entry today just to show you how easy it is. So our little blue symbol is our time slip. Clicking new, Amicus did a ton of work for me. It knew which piece it was on. It knew what my billable rate is. And I can add a brief description here. There's also going to be some built-in spell check, which is great for if you're making any sort of mistakes. We'll just clear that out. Clicking Save and Close, my time entry has now been applied to that case, and anyone else working on it can see that it has not been billed yet. I'm going to hit Save and Close and show you just how easy it would be to now produce an invoice for my time entry. Coming over to billing, I can see any outstanding invoices, or I can add a new payment. Click my invoice button to show you just how easy it is to select my file, hit Save and Close, and Amicus brought over that existing time entry. Now it also takes care of some accounting functionality for me. It's got my retainer balance and my trust balances if those apply to the case. I could edit the straight amount. Maybe I want it to be an even $50. Or I can continue to add time and expenses right from this menu. Clicking Create Invoice, Amicus just starts to populate out that invoice for me based on the features that I've given it. So maybe I want a special firm letterhead, or I want the same wording or descriptions for time entries. These are all choices that Amicus has made for me. What's great about this, I can see my outstanding balances. I can update the client with what's left in their retainer. I can double check the trust balance. And by hitting cancel or close, I could also then email this invoice directly to my client. Just going to hit Save and Close and go back into our file. So you can see here I have a nice draft, and right from here I could then show the case and email it directly to my client. So by coming into billing, I have the ability to now send or save this invoice directly to our client. So I'll show you what one of our past invoices look like. And by clicking Send Invoice, I have this nice chronology of everything that's gone on in our case. And Amicus will actually format this email based on my choices. So if I have a specific script I like to give with reminder statements, if I have multiple copies of invoices, it found my client's email address and created this email directly for me. So in about less than 2 minutes, I was able to enter time on an activity, create an invoice, and get it to my client in a nice, efficient manner. Coworkers can then review or create additional copies of that invoice. Next, I'm going to move over to my calendar. Looking at my calendar tab, I have a nice daily feature of what's going on in my office, what appointments do I have, and I also have the ability over here to have that shared calendaring that Amicus really does well with. So I can see where my coworkers are, what their upcoming appointments are as well. Another tool that you're going to see in the cloud is the ability to let the program remind you of lost time. So as I'm adding calls or creating documents on a file, Amicus has a little guardian angel that's floating around collecting details about my day, ensuring I don't miss out on billable time. Too often we work with attorneys who report working these 10 and 12-hour days, but find their billable time is accrued to closer to 6 to 8 hours. Your time entry assistant in this tools menu will really find a lot of that work that you're missing out on. So you can see that appointment that I had earlier today or phone calls that I made yesterday. If I've not billed for those yet, I can easily come in here and let the program do the work for me. Tell it to create that time entry that I would have otherwise missed out on. So I can save and close any of those. And what's nice is it gives you a really wide variety of different dates. So if I enter my time at the end of the week or the end of the month, I can come back in here and collect any of those missing entries. Amicus Cloud is going to let us do the same thing with our collections efforts as well. No longer assuming I need someone with a financial background to do my collections work, or letting that problem client turn into thousands of dollars worth of collection efforts. You can come into my collections assistant and ask the program who hasn't made a payment in the last 30 days, or who has an outstanding balance of more than $1,000. Where am I missing out on these collection efforts? So just by selecting one of my files, I can resend invoices, or I'm going to create a late payment reminder. So much like we saw with our original invoice, I can create this late payment reminder. I can tell Amicus Cloud the type of language that I want to use. It will grab the payment balance that's due. It will stick a copy of the invoice on there for her, and really quickly and easily, I can start generating some return on the investments that I've already made for our clients. So there is also a great QuickBooks link if you like to track time in Amicus and then put your financial balances in QuickBooks. I'm just going to close out of this. The next thing I want to show you is what it looks like to save a document in Amicus Cloud. So we'll go back into our 123 Main Street case. Coming into here, I only have one other document currently on this file, but you can see Amicus automatically generated this nice invoice tab for me. So as I'm creating invoices on the case, they'll be dropped in there and shared and easily accessible to all other users. So to give you an idea of how easy it is to add documents, I'm just going to click our Add or Update. The first thing I'm taken to is my server window, where it's basically asking me, where does this document live? So you would save it on your local machine and then upload it to the cloud. One thing you're going to notice over here, if this document already exists, Amicus gives me the capabilities to do things like versioning, to really collaborate with my coworkers. Clicking Save and Close, again, a two-click step to really get a brand new document up into the cloud, where now I have the ability to do things like bill time for it, email it to a client, or share it with a coworker. I'm just going to close out of this specific case. The next thing I want to go over was how the Amicus Cloud developers really took advantage of our web platform by installing a couple tools to ease your everyday workday. The first being our reminder section down here. I love this tab being in the left-hand corner because it actually stays right in play on any list. No matter where I am in the program, it's letting me know important details like upcoming appointments or missed calls. And each of those is going to take me directly to that record. So that's just another fun feature that I really like. The next being our Recent tab. This is something that you're only really going to see in a web-based program, where it's collecting all the different stops that I've made along the way today. So it knew I was working in this case. It knew I was looking at this appointment. So it's a nice shortcut, kind of like your browsing history, that you're only really going to find in a web product. I'm going to move back into our presentation and quickly go over some of our benefits from working in the cloud. Okay, so looking at our slideshow again, as I mentioned with our cloud license structure, you're really going to be paying a monthly fee per person. So what I enjoy about that is that if you have a firm member join you mid-year or mid-month, the license process is really easy, and you're only paying for what you're using. Quick implementation really means that most firms are signing up for their cloud contract are going to be live that same day. There are often no new infrastructure requirements like a new server or a workstation purchase to schedule. Technical support is often included, and Amicus Cloud does a really nice job of having a live web chat session, so users can ask questions or report difficulties directly to Amicus. Also, with cloud development, the updates are often applied overnight and are immediately accessible the next time you log in. So there's no downtime for your firm. You're not forced out of the program. Your updates are going to be immediate. Lastly, being internet-based means we're going to make both our Mac and PC fans happy, or if you've got a nice shiny tablet ready to use at court, you can really work on the go. We're not going to be device-specific. So it's really giving you the use what you like, the approach with the cloud environment. Moving on to some of the drawbacks of working with the cloud, you're going to find that the subscription model may cost more over a few years, and it will add up in the long run. This is also going to vary based on your firm growth and changes. So make a budget for both short and long-term development. I put the concept of a blank slate down because traditionally that's what you're getting with a cloud purchase on day one, that empty database that could require some strong manual entry efforts in order to get you guys up to speed. Unlike the server model, it's usually limited from linking or importing into a cloud database. Too often firms use us as consultants or the vendor. They assume we'll instantly get their existing system imported or synced to the cloud. Keep in mind this extra admin time may add up or take a toll on your office productivity that could increase cost considerations. So if you're using support staff on overtime to enter paper file information, it will add up. The next, storage limitations are a strong concern for your documents and emails especially. So if you've got Jim down the hall who has thousands of emails in his inbox and is really proud of it, that will continue to add to your firm reaching that limit even sooner. Some cloud products limit you per person to a certain size. Some limit you per firm. So definitely look into any storage limitations. The next being the exit strategy. This is an important concept for all software purchases. So should you have a firm structure change, want to move to a new platform down the road, just have any kind of changes within your office, you need to be comfortable knowing your firm's case details are coming with you. So how would you necessarily export information out of the cloud? What's the next platform that you could move into easily? These are things that you should consider. You'll also want to look at that fine print regarding uptime, meaning the time your office can access its data. If that small 0.01% of downtime is during one of your trial prep sessions, you may be without valuable case information. Lastly, disaster recovery is still going to be a concern whether you are in the cloud or on a desktop model. So check the fine print of your cloud terms of services regarding loss of data. Next, let's take a look at these server platform. So I'm actually going to move over to our Amicus Premium. Give me 1 second. So coming back into my Amicus office, this time I'm on the Amicus Premium 2013 model. So as you can see, the look and the feel of Amicus products is always very user-friendly. With some standard practice management tools like that shared calendar that I showed you, or the ability to add time from other records, we're going to see right from here. Coming into my office, I can see I've got that main menu. Just like we saw in our cloud program, it's kind of like the remote control for getting around the program. I'm always going to have this menu regardless of which view I'm currently on. So one of the first things that I wanted to highlight that you're going to get out of a desktop or a server-based product is this ability to import from other programs. So this import menu may not look like much, but once I kind of get this set up and running for you, I have the ability to bring in any really kind of information that you would need. So file-based details, people records, your contact list or Rolodex can all be put into the system to save you from that manual entry period. Sorry, 1 second. Just going to log back into our computer here. It's always a little bit of a technical difficulty. So coming back into our program, we have the ability to add files, including time information, so I could drop in a contact list from a wide variety of systems. The next one I wanted to go over our detailed security profile. So this is something you're not going to see with really any cloud system. I can get really granular here and assign different security levels and responsibilities based on user, based on profile. So if my support staff shouldn't have access to view time on a file, or if I want to put human resource details in here, I have that ability with these detailed security profiles. I'm going to have true administrator rights, which we really don't see with a cloud-based product. I have the ability to close or deny access to any accounts at a moment's notice, making this truly ideal for a large firm. So if you had a human resource issue or someone leaving your office, would you want them to have file information on the go or accessible from home? I've created profiles for groups like support staff, differing permission levels based on person. The next thing I wanted to show you is the ability to customize your file intake process. So again, this menu may not look like much, but what I'm really saying here is no one can open a file until they've assigned a default billing category. You have to give me a file type. You have to give me the primary client's name. So unlike the paper file system, you're not getting past step 1 until you've answered specific questions. We're really tailor-making your file intake process to match the one you had on paper, meaning someone can't skip questions or require details when they're opening a file. Next, I wanted to move over to calendar. This premium edition is going to allow for some great custom calendar options. So if your receptionist needs to have her conference rooms displayed at all times to know who is where in the office, or support staff wants to see where they can schedule a litigation department meeting, you can create these amazing custom calendar options that you can obviously toggle in between to get specific settings. So if I want to see 8 to 5 or I want to see a monthly window, I can custom make these to fit my needs. Speaking of customization, Amicus Premium is really going to give you access to custom information that you need most. So we're going to move into one of our files. I'm actually working on a family law matter. And when I come into this case, I am saying that it's a divorce proceedings, but one of the ways that I'll also be able to tell that fetch this file type is the custom page information I assign to it. So being a divorce matter, this may be one where I want to see the judge assigned, or I want separation details. Now, if I was to open a family law matter regarding a guardianship, I can have specific custom field information with contents relating to just that case. So this is, again, something that you're going to see in Premium: limitless custom pages and a wide variety of different types of fields. So just like your client intake sheet is going to differ from a fellow attorney's, Amicus knows you have that area-specific information. Lastly, I'm going to go over some of the custom reporting that we can see in here. Keep in mind, what I'm doing when I create a report is really doing a database query. I'm calling up information from my server just in a nice, easy-to-use format. So with a server purchase, you have access to the data that you need. My example I want to share with you today is one regarding our daily agenda. I have the ability to tell Amicus every morning, email me my agenda, let me know who my appointments are with, what case it's related to, give me the contact information or upcoming to-dos or tasks that need to be completed. So that's just one example of a report that can be completed on a daily basis. Let's move back into my PowerPoint presentation, and we can go over some of the benefits of using a server-based model. Oops, sorry about that. I'm just going to get set up. So some of the benefits that we're going to go over in a desktop or server-based practice management system. As we saw with that data import option, when we're working with a server, your firm's going to have full control over your system. If you suddenly need a report on a client's collection efforts or based on a file type and a specific date range, Amicus Premium is going to give you that ability to report on anything and everything that you put into the system. You're going to be able to control regular backups, ensuring database integrity, and have reusable format of your data at a moment's notice. Firms working with health or financial information often have a series of compliance regulations they must meet. And we've often found that the physical security of the server room, along with other precautions, can confirm that adherence to things like HIPAA rules or individual court rulings. So besides just an Amicus consultant, a server does require maintenance, but it's often provided by IT experts to support and maintain all of your systems. If you have a Microsoft Word issue, you're definitely not going to be contacting your cloud vendor. So keep in mind, if your server is running other programs, some maintenance will be required. Also, you're going to be able to really create that all-in-one solution by hosting multiple programs on a singular device. So if I have Microsoft Office, PC Law, and I consider putting Amicus Premium on the same server machine, I'm going to create a greater all-in-one solution hosting everything at once for my entire office. And lastly, we've seen some long-term improvements in testing with our server products because they've had years of development and experiments with a wide variety of offices. With cloud updates being pushed out consistently, you won't be that guinea pig trying out new features or functions with a desktop model. Integration can also be well reviewed with a server-based product since it's been exposed to numerous other environments. We also see clients get exposed by new cloud releases thinking they can move everything off a server at once. But your email, your time and billing, and other programs will still likely need a server support. So next I want to go over some of the drawbacks for working off a server-based system. Maintaining a server's operating system is an undertaking that should be done with an experienced IT support technician. It can contain unforeseen problems like any computer, and at times may need some costly repairs. But the manual installation of server-based products will cause that downtime for your office at times. While you're getting on the latest and greatest version, your firm may be out of the program momentarily. It also means technical support may need to be reached in emergency situations and in contact at a moment's notice. So the pricing of a server will vary, just like any other technology purchase. Keep in mind, you may need to use it for a certain period of time before you reach a return on that investment. So you're spending a larger amount of money at once, but over time it will pay off. If you've experienced any major issues with the server, speed, performance related, this may be based on that server that you purchased. So we recommend fitting hardware to the firm's actual needs and reviewing the size of your database, reviewing size capabilities, things like that. So like our car example, one size does not fit all. Not all servers are created equally. Lastly, the physical security of a server is one that should be protected. Just like our traditional locked filing cabinet, you're going to want disaster recovery policies confirmed, security precautions in place. We've seen it all: flooding, former employees, fires, viruses. They're all known security issues that can be remedied. Again, that physical security is important. So on the topic of security, I want to go over a handful of considerations your office needs to keep in mind while reviewing a practice management system. So these are all common concerns firms should review regardless of which platform they are using. The first being privacy and security. They're two of the considerations firms need to explore most. Cloud computing is typically going to be hosted in a data center with numerous physical security measures like retina scans or fingerprint readers for all employees. Amicus Cloud is a great example because they're on the Microsoft Azure platform, meaning Boeing, NASA, some really top organizations are already using that technology. The easiest way to confirm the physical security of your data is going to be to look at the terms of service provided by any vendor. So research the application, internal security options you can enforce with your firm, making sure administrators are aware of how do you lock down users, how do you prevent security breaches on devices. The next topic of encryption is really the process by which we're encoding messages, information, or documents so that a third party cannot read them. This is the way by which we're preventing hackers from accessing your case details. Lastly, we really want to make sure antivirus detection, just like our home or work PCs, is there for both cloud and server-based products. So this is the way by which we are protecting our good data from any type of hacker, any type of infection. Remember, it's your work and your data. We're just trying to ultimately protect you, so this should be a major consideration. Next, with support, keep in mind your technical support contract is just like any other warranty or agreement. It should be reviewed to keep in mind any limitations, including that end date. Too often we see firms not renew only for a technical issue to occur immediately after. You want to make sure multiple firm members are aware of what they should do when an issue arises and your technical support contact information. So even for those users moving to the cloud, we recommend your office retains a local IT support provider. Because like I said, if you call cloud support with a Microsoft issue or device issue, they sadly will not be able to address it. So keep in mind support of your entire office. One of the things that we're going to recommend towards the end in our next steps is an IT audit. So that's something else to keep in mind. Really take an overview of where your office is at currently. The next topic of liability is just a hot button one to the legal technology community, and it's one that continuously evolves. I think that's where we see that importance. Just as we see the new cloud software solutions be released, we've seen legislation rulings change the way attorneys are allowed to use the cloud. In the follow-up email, I'm going to provide links for each of these, but I would recommend firms begin by reviewing the American Bar Association's professional liability resource. Check each of the states that you practice law in. Some firms may find limitations of what type of case-related information they're allowed to use and allowed to put into the cloud. Many are going to see that term reasonable care used often to specify if an attorney is really using care when they're saving, sending, or receiving client-related information. So, for example, any of our California attorneys that are attending, their policy for cloud computing under Opinion 2010-179 says consult an expert if the lawyer's technology expertise is lacking. So just like I take my car to the dealership to make sure my warranty agreement is met, to make sure there's no issues, you may be required to seek out technology advice. You can no longer really feel uninformed and confident when you're making legal technology decisions, so go to your experts. Your retention policy may also want to be revised. So discuss with your client where you're saving their information, when, and how you'll access that case detail. A next consideration is our mobility. Keep in mind the ethical guidelines you have to adhere to while practicing. So that traditional image of an attorney leaving the office with their leather-bound briefcase with a couple of key firm files has really shifted. Just like you want to work from anywhere, a lot of clients demand immediate response, their attorney to always be available at the push of a button. So I work with attorneys who see that as both a blessing and a curse. Just like we saw with Mika's Cloud, I can enter time on the go, or I can check in with my clients when I have downtime. But consider that your entire office would have this mobile access, making it difficult to monitor firm members. When are they sharing details? When are they accessing records? Another consideration is the tools that you're going to provide to them. Are you now going to be buying home offices or tablets to replace that traditional office cost? If I was considering a cloud-based practice management system, I would immediately do an internet speed test with the cloud product from anywhere that I'm going to intend to work to make sure I have sufficient access. So if you're in a server-based product, look into your mobility options because there are many out there, from terminal servers to Mika's Anywhere. The latest utility that makes my mobile phone tie into the premium server database is the Mika's Anywhere. So keep in mind you're not limited just because you are in the desktop model. Next up, we have some compatibility concerns. I find too often that firms make new software purchases and they don't really play nicely with their existing programs. So your time and billing or your email platforms, you want to make sure these are all working well together. So you want to check out each version or service pack has been tested and is supported by your new product vendor, and vice versa. Vendors often work with one another to ensure compatibility, but you'll want to get specifics for things like operating systems, requirements, hard drive space. Check in with each of your vendors. And then our last concern we're going to review is any potential practice management system is the current resources. Do you already have a server in place, and is it on its last leg, or would you need another year or two to meet that return on investment we talked about? Is there the recommended amount of space available? We want to do the same for workstations. Check the software requirements for conflicts. If you're leaning towards a cloud product review, check your current bandwidth and talk to your internet service provider about your contract, any possible upgrades or available options. Too often we, as firms work with their internet providers like it's a telephone provider, like they're all the same, or they just stick with the original choice. But in reality, you may have a stronger and better connection through another company that you just haven't explored yet. So it sounds straightforward, but really You may have internet access and not that bandwidth to support an entire office of employees constantly working off of the internet. So to begin wrapping up some of our presentation, I wanted to discuss the keys to successful practice management implementation. As you make this large investment in your company's shape, I also want to make sure you have a realistic idea of the program's offering. So review expectations within your entire office. If your favorite feature is the Amicus Anywhere function and that requires an annual maintenance plan, make sure that's purchased. So right off the bat, review your exceptions as a team. Next up, with firm requirements, I stress to decision makers, check in with your staff, making sure everyone is on the same page. If Sue down the hall lives and breathes and works perfect and absolutely has to have it, but my new solution isn't going to work with it, we're headed for trouble. And as we discuss some budget concerns for licensing, keep in mind long-term budget. So see how that budget will change down the road. Firm growth, additional space, purchases like workstations, additional licenses are all going to be things that will affect your overall budget. Our next recommendation is for project time and resources to be discussed in advance. A successful practice management install, in my eyes, is a key person or two at the firm to act as their product champion. This resource is one that can assist with installation, scheduling, development of the project within the office, and they really take the program under their wing, making the transition a smooth one. So as updates and new features are available, they work with the vendor consultant to make decisions based on the firm's needs. Training is going to be essential during the installation of any new software, but is especially vital in keeping your firm profitable. Most firms find a successful match in software solutions are going to continue with new employee training. They'll have refresher sessions. They have firm policies on how the product's going to be used and make sure everyone is aware. And as we discussed earlier, support is needed for both the new product and your environment, regardless of which platform they work with. Continual product improvement really means continued advancement within your office. So most firms we work with use about 20% of a product's features available on day one. And that's typical. As the learning curve diminishes, firms need to continue to explore. We usually see during the launch of a new software, some firms are like a kid at Christmas morning. They're really excited to try out all the new cool features, and the energy should continuously be applied to any technology decisions. So after a couple of months, check out the document automation that you know their staff members are using, or explore your options for tracking time on the go. One of the last keys for success that we've mentioned is to continue working with consultants. Because like I said, just because we take our car to a mechanic, you want that expert opinion. We're going to prevent and ensure a successful launch. So when you deploy any changes in your firm's environment, you want to take consideration to prevent confusion and problems. A detailed review of your firm's needs and infrastructure before making any decisions is also a really smart move. So going into our next steps, I have a slide regarding Amicus Attorney. If you're interested in the server-based model, they have two different kind of tiers. We have a small firm example. We usually recommend this for firms less than 10 users. And then the premium edition, which is made for any of our larger offices. This is the desktop model that you saw today. Continue to discuss promotions with consultants. We actually have one going right now for Thanksgiving, and it's good till the end of the month. So look into these kind of temporary or seasonal promotions available. And then also watch the demonstrations. Ask important questions to your consultant. Make sure that the product really does meet your firm's needs. Next, if you're interested in the Amicus Attorney Cloud Edition model, keep in mind we have the cost set for $35 a month. That's going to be per person, so per license. You're not really going to be sharing licenses. Each person has their own individual offices. Again, I would recommend watching a demonstration video, and we actually have a free 21-day trial period that's available. So you can get in there and get a feel for what is it going to look like with your firm's information in the system. And I'm going to begin to wrap up. Jody?
Thank you, Colleen. We hope that the audience found this session informative and useful. If you'd like to contact Colleen, she can be reached at 216-662-3200, extension 114, or via email at cheine Heine at Accellis.com. For a list of upcoming webinars, please visit the Amicus Attorney website at www.amicusattorney.com.